amplifier for your desk that claims to be able to drive electrostatics to their fullest potential. Dynamic headphones, planars, IEMs, speakers, being able to use it as a pre or a power amp for your home theater, the LTA Z10E doesn't have any rivals, or does it? This Summit tier Class AB amplifier, using proprietary technologies, combining tubes and solid state, that it's the only thing you need at your desk, whether you're a reviewer or just love the audio hobby. Touting a $7,000 price tag, this is here to stay. I'm Koji CO, welcome to Convince Me Audio, let's dive in. I'd like to extend a thank you to my Patreon members for allowing these reviews to be constructed and filmed and edited for you guys. Every bit of support is highly appreciated by CMA. Thank you so much for allowing me to do this job. It's very much appreciated. And if you want to be part of our community, to consider joining the Patreon down below and jumping into the private Telegram chat where we get to talk about this and other pieces of gear that come in before the review itself. With that, let's move on to the Z10E. Thank you Mimic for making the shipping of this unit possible. This unit was purchased by CMA for the review. All thoughts are my own. Paying your $7,000, unboxing this unit, you get a few items. You get the unit itself, its linear power supply, its milled aluminium remote control, and the umbilical cord here, which is about 1 meter, to connect the linear power supply to the unit itself. Let's do a quick tour around the unit first. Combining form and function, these vents around the unit have been placed here to dissipate heat and to give it this beautiful design. This unit runs very cool on the desk. You don't need to worry about heat. A little tiny heat rises on the top here due to the tubes inside. Talking of the tubes inside, we have a pair of NOS 12 AT7S tubes, a quad set of 12 AU7S tubes, and a quad set of EL84 tubes that can be rolled via this sunroof here on top of the Z10E, unscrewing these 6 little screws. Some of the tubes are placed laterally, so be careful, it's not just vertical, it's horizontal as well. Makes it a little irksome, but tube rolling can be done. Predominantly, this review has been assessed by all the stock tubes in the unit. On the front faceplate of the unit, we have an on and off switch that coincides with the linear power supply that has this very tactile on and off switch. We have a toggle rocker that's highly clickable, balanced, single-ended 1, single-ended 2 for the inputs, a pair of RCA, and balanced for me and you. Placed in the center of the unit, we have this stepped attenuator using Volsche Dale resistors, 100 steps. Another toggle switch, toggling down for speakers, toggling up for electrostatics and headphones. 2 sets of headphone outs here in 6.3 form, 3 watts in the high power one into 32 ohms and 0.24 milliwatts into the 8 ohm one on the front. Spinning the unit around gently, we've got the umbilical cord socket here, which locks into place and connects to the power supply. RCA pre out, 2 sets of RCA in and balanced in, and then we have the speaker binding posts for spade and banana plugs, respectively. 12 watts into 8 ohm speakers and 13 watts into 4. That's the unit. Simple, straightforward, weighing 18 pounds and built like a little square block, except it's not very little. The 5-pound linear power supply has a switch on the front, AC outlet, and the umbilical cord for the amplifier itself. This linear power supply is using a Belson regulator for low noise and hum and regulation, I believe. That's it, that's the unit. Simple, straightforward, very, very ergonomically well designed. Let's move on to the review itself. Like stated, you can drive speakers with this unit. It's a electrostatics, planar, IEMs, dynamic headphones. It covers everything. And if you want to use it as a power amp, you have that option too. You want a tube roll, you have that option too. The remote control allows you to control all the functionality of the unit, switch on and off, standby, inputs, and the menu selection on the front to jump from 100 to 200 steps, power amp mode, etc., dimming the LED lights. Let's take this off the desk. This LTA Z10E has been the reference amplifier for CMA since June. It has gone through 176 hours of break-in from the factory, another week with MeAudio, then 3 months with me. What I found was, when I first received the unit, it sounded very good, but nowhere near its potential when it started opening up within 12 weeks of break-in. Because of the low voltage of the amplifier itself, it takes a long time to break in, so I highly recommend not judging it out of the box. It's unlike other tube amplifiers or other tubes when you can break it in within 100 hours or so. No, this took a very long time, and it was absolutely shocking when it got into its stride, because it just got better and better and better, and it has now stabilized and has been rather consistent. For the review and in the testing phase, we have used the channel reference Holo Audio Make ATE, then the Rockna WaveDream, then the Warwick Acoustics Aperio DAC, and finally the new channel reference, which is the Lampizator Golden Atlantic DAC. And with every single unit that we tested as we moved up in the DAC category, the Z10E took it in its stride and got better and better and better. So your DAC will have a profound impact on the quality of performance that the Z10E can give you. Bear that in mind. And what it did with Lampizator and how it's been performing, I've had the AIC10 Riviera here for 2 months, thank you to Mo, one of our viewers. Genuinely, it's in smallest of small percentages when it comes to comparisons and performing factor. It's unbelievable when this unit costs $7 and that other unit costs $19,000. It's insane, genuinely. For the source, I've used my Mac Mini, Roon, HQ Player, Qobuz, Apple Music, and to power the unit, we've been using the IFI Supernova and Nova cables, the IFI Power Station, and AudioQuest Niagara 5000. The interconnects have been double helix Chaperon 3s, and the USB cables have been from AudioQuest, they're carbon. DSD and FLAC files and upsample files have been used predominantly. Artists such as Hans Zimmer and John Williams in the classical realm, every metal band that I love, from Tesseract to Nirvana to Chimera to rock to Van Halen, pop songs, hip hop has been tested. That's enough waffling. Let's talk about the sound quality of the LTA Z10E. The Z10E is a neutral reference sounding amplifier that both encourages and delights tube lovers and brings the solid state crowd into the tube realm without the loss of the speed, technicality, resolvability, and transparency of solid state amps. But it does not leave behind the audience who love tubes, the organic nature, the holographic imaging, the huge stage. We have used a variety of headphones, as you can see on the table: Susvara, LCD5, DCA Stealth, ZMF Atrium, VO, Caldera, Abyss AB1266TC, Shangri-La Senior, X9000 from Stax, and all the IEMs you see on my left, and obviously the Ambient Acoustics MAD24 at 2.3 ohm and 112 dB sensitivity. It's a noise floor magnet, and it's been great. Susvara's is one of the hardest planars to drive in the world alongside Tungsten. They've both been fantastic, with varying results as we went up the DAC chain, because that made a big difference. Mid-range is open, texturally rich, informative, It has the ability to articulate beautiful wood instruments, violins, cellos, etc. Bass response is quick, nimble, viscerally impactful for electronic music depending on the DAC you use, and if you're fortunate enough to have a Lampizator or a Rockna or even a Dave, this has been exponentially better than, for example, a Holo Audio May that leans into the texturally rich, organic tactility until you started upsampling. But none of them have been even close to the Lampizator, which has literally given the LTA Z10E wings to fly. Listening to Hans Zimmer's Pirates of the Caribbean live, 50-piece orchestra on the stage, you are in an amphitheater, semicircle, 3 seats up, 4 seats up, looking down into the crowd and onto the band. You can articulate and see every instrument on stage. Nothing gets lost. Every element of sound within the stage has room to breathe. The authority of horns and double bass, etc. is impactful in the chest. But what is really, really impressive about the LTA Z10E is the incisiveness and weight of treble. If it doesn't have weight, like when drumsticks smack against each other, if that doesn't have impact, it becomes shrill, it becomes thin and lackluster. But this has weight in the treble as well as the bass region. Mid-range is very open and lush. It's very easy to get mid-range right most of the time. If you are measuring the unit while you're building and stick to a curve, it's very possible to do a good job with the mid-range. Bass and treble, especially treble, are far more difficult to get right, and I'm pleased to say the LTA Z10E does. Let's move over to some headphones and see how it does. Starting with the Susvaras, with the May, I felt as though the LTA Z10E was fine for organic, real songs with real instruments, but it had no weight or impact for electronic music. How I was proven wrong when we moved over to the Lampizator. It's viscerally impactful, percentages worse than the AIC-10 Riviera at $19,000. Genuinely 2 or 3% absolute tops, and I'm being generous. Sound quality is far more grandiose and bigger on the LTA Z10E versus the reference tube we used in the AIC-10 Riviera. But when I bring you that review, we're going to be tube rolling a lot, so take that one with a pinch of salt. The AB1266TC was definitely my favorite on the Z10E, even over the AIC-10, because of its grandiose nature, the ability to actually throw images 20 feet back all the way. And it has been very, very special for that headphone. Authority in the bass, very quick, tactile. And then you can move over to a lush tube on the Lampizator using a USAF tube for the rectifier. That's when real instruments begin to get that lushness and organic nature. And honestly, it gave a sort of a mid-range of this one, the ZMF Verite Open, which was unbelievable. Warm, lush, organic. LCD5, I felt as though I needed to change the tubes in the Lampizator because that reference sound and the bright upper mid-range of the LCD5 tends to be a bit shrill for a lot of genres. But when taming that a little bit was far better. But for drivability, absolutely no problem. DCA stealth, outstanding. I think that one, because of the Harman curve, requires a lush tube for that as well. But genuinely, for somebody who's looking for reference sound, works beautifully. You don't need to worry about any drivability issues here. Most importantly, the Shangri-La. The electrostatic tap is more resolving and better than the rest, but the rest are truly fantastic anyway. But genuinely, Shangri-La on this unit was the best I've ever heard it. That includes the Blue Hawaii SE and the Hifiman Energizer they have themselves, and the Hifiman Junior Energizer as well. Oh, and obviously the IFI Phantom, which I heard at Munich. That one hasn't come in for review yet. The stage is so big on the Shangri-La, I think there hasn't been a single headphone that matches it, including HD800S. If you can bear that headphone in mind, it's 3 times bigger than that in depth, width, and most importantly, height. Z10E taking the MeAudio Elite to another level. I can't wait to finish that review editing wise and bring it to you guys, because I think finally the dynamic range and the holographic nature of that headphone truly shone, and it was outstanding. From IEMs to electrostatics, fantastic. Let's talk about some of the caveats. For me, the caveat is the skin it's made of. It's so fragile, it's like detail in a sports car. Fingerprints shine and pop on it very easily. It's very easily scratched. And I'm a bit OCD about looking after my equipment, and it terrifies me, honestly. It's something I can never forget. I am too careful with my equipment, and AI-C10 Riviera is where it's at for build quality, honestly. That is built nicely, looks nice, but it's very fragile. My other caveat is the stepped attenuator in it. I think it's a bit noisy. The Aperio gave it a much better performance in it with its pre, but it's 30,000, what do you expect? I also like the Serene pre with it, obviously, or the Lampizator that Mo lent me, the TRP3 Golden Atlantic. Thank you very much, mate. I appreciate it. Was better than the internal pot. It's fine. I've just heard better, much better, but you can't have it all. It seems to do everything very well, but those are my 2 gripes with the unit. When you're jumping resistor to resistor in the stepped attenuation, you do get buzz as it's jumping between one step and another in big chunks. So for example, every 10-15 dB or something. But once you bypass that click, it goes away, obviously. That's my only 2 caveats. The umbilical cord's a bit of an issue. I would like a longer one, but that's it. LTA Z10E, the best product you're gonna buy under $10,000. It has no rival under $14,000. I think it's better detailed than Bliss. I think it's just as detailed as HM1, depending on what DAC you use. Viscerally impactful, very big sounding, large amount of gain, large amount of power. It's the one that does it all. 5 tigers out of 5. Absolutely outstanding. If you like reviews such as these, consider subscribing, leaving me a comment down below if you've owned one, what you think, etc. And if you have any questions that I've not answered in this review, let me know. I'll get to it ASAP. Until the next one, peace.